The issue or the topic is the challenges of ex-offenders re-entering free world or free society. And of course, we have to talk about these challenges. The founder of the Hands of God Christian Ministry, Reverend Pastor KWalker. And of course, Reverend Walker, let me again give you an opportunity to talk about some of the other challenges. I think you've identified the inability of individuals being incarcerated when they leave the system to have some kind of adequate identification. So let's talk about whatever else you have to say in reference to that as well as other challenges.
Okay, well, here's what it leads to. Here's where the frustration really comes in. A guy comes out of the prison system. He doesn't have any identification. Okay, now chances are you don't have any clothing or anything like that. Now, places like Salvation Army and some other places may give you a clothing voucher. But if you can't identify yourself, they won't give it to you. Some of the Second Harvest Food Bank satellite location will give you a box of food. But if you can't identify yourself, then you can't get it. So now you're frustrated. You get out, you can't get any clothes, you can't get any food, and we bring them into our program. We have a structured ministry program that they come out into our program. They're mandated by the parole system. They stay there a minimum of 90 days, and we try to help them to get back into the flow. So if you don't have clothes to wear, you don't have food to eat, and then if you don't have ID, then you can't meet the requirements of the INS form they have to fill out in order for you to be hired on a job. So now you're frustrated. You can't have any clothes. You can't get any food, and then you can't get a job. And at the same time, at some point, our first weekend is at no cost. But at some point, then your program fees start to build. Now you're in a situation where I got to try to get my identification. Then I've got to get a job. Then I got to wait to get paid. Now I got the frustration of knowing I've got a debt already on me when I get out. So now I'm frustrated. And a lot of people will revert back if you don't have that structure for them to help them to keep pushing forward in that situation.
Well, again, I guess the only thing I can say about that is that it's just curious and it's strange that as interested as the state ought to be that every individual have some kind of identification.
Absolutely.
To allow these individuals to have, I think that's probably an oversight on the part of many people.
Well, I guess, Dr. Haney,
but there's no rationale, and it's hard to find a motive for it.
Right, because you can walk around the prison system for 5, 10, 15, 20 years with identification, and then the day you come out the door, they take the ID from you. It's kind of like, okay, nobody needs to know who you are when you come out. But we need to know who you are while you're in. And it just don't make sense. And there's a lot of issues, that comes just as a result of that one particular issue.
Of identification,
and I deal with these guys all the time, and they come into our program, and you want to try to help them get on their feet. You want to get them involved in some program, help them restructure their life. And people need to understand that people go in the prison system. Now, everybody that goes in and comes out, they have not had any part of anything taking place in their life in terms of becoming a better person or being rehabilitative, I should say. But then you got those individuals that really want to change their lives. But then if you create frustration for them coming out the door, then you are increasing their chances of being reincarcerated back in the system. And another thing, Dr. Haney, I hate to switch gears, but it's another thing that's on me, and that is the parole system that's in place now, and some of the criteria that they use to determine whether or not an individual will be paroled back into society. I mean, you got